The Golden King, the legend of Mansa Musa. Imagine a line of people stretching beyond the horizon, shimmering like a mirage against the burning sands of the Sahara. This was not an army marching to war. It was not refugees fleeing disaster. It was a city on the move. Merchants, soldiers, servants, scholars, slaves, and nobles, moving as one unstoppable current through the desert. At its center sat a man whose name alone reduced the kings of Europe to beggars. His name was Mansa Musa. And the world was about to learn what true wealth looked like. The source of the sun. In 1312, Musa Kaitai ascended the throne of the Mali Empire. But he did not merely inherit a kingdom. He inherited control over the medieval world's lifeblood. Gold. And salt. Two substances so valuable that entire civilizations rose and fell around them. While Europe fractured under feudal wars and famine, while whispers of plague crept across its borders, Mali stood unified, wealthy, and unstoppable. Musa ruled over the legendary Bambuk and Bur gold fields, mines so productive that Mali supplied more than half of the world's gold. At the time, if you held a gold coin in London, Paris, Venice, or Cairo, there was a 50% chance it had passed through Musa's hands. He did not chase gold. Gold came to him. An empire built on order, not fear. Unlike many rulers of his age, Mansa Musa governed through structure and stability, not terror. Trade routes were protected. Merchants traveled safely across thousands of miles. Justice was enforced with consistency. Under his reign, Mali became a place where wealth flowed not just to the throne, but through the entire empire. To live under Musa was to live under certainty. And certainty attracts power. 1324, the trek that shook the world. The moment that transformed Mansa Musa from emperor to legend did not involve conquest. It involved faith. In 1324, Musa set out on the Hajj, a pilgrimage to Mecca required of all devout Muslims. But this was no quiet spiritual journey. It was the most extravagant procession humanity had ever witnessed. The entourage. 60,000 people marched behind him. Among them, 12,000 slaves, each dressed in fine silk and brocade. A personal guard of 500 heralds, robed in Persian luxury. Officials, scholars, nobles, and servants, moving like a golden tide. Each herald carried a staff of solid gold. Not decorated. Not plated. Solid. Gold. The cargo. 80 camels followed. Each camel carried nearly 300 pounds of gold dust. By modern estimates, this caravan transported billions of dollars worth of wealth across the desert. And Musa had no intention of bringing it all back. The generosity that rewrote economics. As Musa passed through cities, Gao, Wallata, Cairo, he gave. And gave. And gave. Gold coins were handed out to the poor, merchants, religious leaders, government officials. Every Friday, Musa commissioned the construction of a new mosque, leaving behind monuments of faith wherever he went. In Cairo, his generosity crossed a dangerous line. By flooding the market with so much gold, Musa collapsed its value. Prices soared. Gold lost its rarity. The Egyptian economy never recovered quickly. It took 12 years for Cairo to stabilize after Mansa Musa passed through. This remains the only documented case of a single human being causing continental inflation simply by being generous. The king who tried to fix the damage. Realizing what he had done, Musa attempted the impossible. On his return journey, he borrowed gold back from Cairo, at high interest, to remove it from circulation and stabilize the economy. Even when trying to undo his impact, he reshaped history. The architect of a golden age. When Musa returned to Mali, he came back transformed. Not just spiritually. Intellectually. He brought with him the finest minds of the Islamic world. Poets. Jurists. Astronomers. Historians. Architects. Among them was the legendary Abu Ishaq al-Sahili, the Andalusian architect who would reshape West African architecture forever. Together, they turned Timbuktu into a city that rivaled the great capitals of the world. Timbuktu, the lighthouse of knowledge. Once a desert trading post, Timbuktu became the intellectual heart of Africa. Djingareba Mosque, built of earth and timber, rose from the sand and still stands today. Sankore University attracted over 25,000 students from across Africa and the Middle East. Its libraries held hundreds of thousands of manuscripts on mathematics, medicine, law, astronomy, philosophy. At a time when most of Europe's population could not read, West Africa was preserving and producing knowledge. The man who redefined Africa. Mansa Musa did not rule through spectacle alone. He redefined how the world saw Africa. Before Musa, European maps labeled much of Africa as empty or unknown. After him? In 1375, decades after his death, European cartographers placed him at the center of the world. On the Catalan Atlas, Mansa Musa sits on a throne, holding a massive gold orb, symbolizing wealth so great it could not be ignored. Africa was no longer a mystery. It was a powerhouse. A legacy beyond wealth. Mansa Musa died in 1337, but his empire outlived him, and his influence outlived empires. His story dismantles a dangerous myth, that Africa had no civilizations. No scholars. No wealth. No power. Musa proves the opposite. Before colonization. Before enslavement. Before history was rewritten. Final extended voiceover, cinematic close. He did not simply possess gold, he defined its value. He did not merely rule an empire, he built a civilization of knowledge. Kings trembled at his wealth. Economies bent at his generosity. And centuries later, his name still shines brighter than the crowns of Europe. Mansa Musa was not just the richest man in history. He was proof that the heart of civilization once beat beneath the golden sands of Mali. If this story moved you, subscribe to Untold History Vault. For more stories the world forgot to tell. Because some histories are taught, and others must be uncovered.